Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. In our first story, the OP found a way to retire early while getting paid at work. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Friend can only bank overtime. His boss had quite a surprise when he retired early. A friend of mine worked for a big government department, but despite their bigness, they were understaffed and didn't pay overtime. However, you could bank that overtime to take time off, and you never lost that bank time if you didn't take it, say within the year. So when he figured out he had 2 years worth of overtime, he waited until he was 2 years away from retirement and took 2 years of vacation just before retiring. And our second story. Hippity hoppity, you fix my property. Bippity boppity boo, I'm suing all of you. Backstory. I currently work at an auto repair shop which mostly specializes in collision repair work on vehicles, but also does mechanical work. I have about 3 years of experience doing this type of work. In addition to growing up in a family that did auto repair work, the shop is part of a chain that's owned by the same network in several states. My job is currently writing estimates on the damage we find as it relates to the incident, taking photographs, and sending it to the insurance company or individual who's paying for the repairs. Because we're part of a network, we're under strict guidelines about how these bills are prepared, the certifications our staff must have, following federal regulations, etc. Shortly after our Thanksgiving break, a couple in their mid to late 40s, let's call him Jack and let's call her Harley, drove to the shop in their late model Lexus sedan. They were easy to talk to and explained that they had chosen our shop from favorable Google reviews to fix damage from their deer hit. I verified that they were having repairs done at my shop and went out to take pictures, start my estimate, and basically kill some time until their rental vehicle, set up by their insurance company, arrived to pick them up. The hit was bad, as in most of the front end, front bumper, hood, fenders, windshield needed to be worked on or just replaced. I started taking pictures in a required order. For liability reasons, I also had to take a wide-shot picture of their mileage. The sedan was only a year old but already had 48,000 miles, about 7,700 kilometers. I mentioned this to the couple because that amount of wear in 12 months of ownership is bad for a lot of wearable parts, such as tires and suspension. The couple laughed it off. With my job done, the couple signed our contract/power of attorney to authorize work and left after getting their rental. I had to drive their vehicle into the shop and assign it to a body technician. Just from driving their Lexus sedan the short distance of our parking lot, I felt significant vibrations on the front suspension. Suspecting that the tires might be at fault, I ordered measurements of their alignment and checked the tire wear myself. The front alignment was badly out, and tires were worn down to 3/32, which meant they needed to be replaced soon. None of this was related to the deer accident and would be costly to address. I called Harley and Jack to tell them, and Harley called me back by the end of the next day. I explained to her the estimated cost of the repairs, which I think was around $8,000 US, covered by their insurance, and that the alignment was out and the tires were worn. In that conversation, I suggested that our shop could have the tires replaced and suspension fixed by a local Lexus dealership with a 15% discount to them, but they'd have to pay the cost before they could take the Lexus out of the shop. Harley said she needed to talk to her husband, Jack, and would call me back by the end of the next day. When I returned to the office the next morning, I had 4 voicemails on my office phone from Jack requesting a callback. I start my day at 8 a.m., so I returned his call, got his voicemail, and heard back from Jack around noon. Jack first asked if insurance would cover replacing the tires and suspension. I told him that they would not cover it, as based on my experience, insurance will only cover replacing parts damaged in the reported accident. Jack asked me if I could increase the discount to 25% or a little bit more. I could not, as that was part of our contract with that dealership. Jack then asked if we could do a payment plan. I said that we could, but before we would release the vehicle back to him, our shop would have to be paid in full. Jack then asked if I could send him the estimate for the unrelated damage, as his brother-in-law could do it for half that price. I sent him the email with an estimate of the cost of replacing 2 control arms, 4 tires, and a steering link, including our labor rates. Harley and Jack came in a couple weeks later, just before Christmas, and picked up their Lexus and paid their insurance deductible. Part of my job is to discuss with each of our customers the repairs performed, provide copies of the estimates, etc. During the discussion, looked at the estimate and slammed it on the desk. Apparently, I'd typed a wrong digit, and instead of 48,000 miles, the paperwork showed 49,000 miles. I explained to Jack and Harley that it was a typo. I showed them a photo of the odometer with the time/date stamp from when they brought the Lexus into the shop. I went out to the Lexus and showed that the shop had only put 1 additional mile on the Lexus as part of our test drive after repairs. They demanded to speak to my manager, let's call him Clark, and stated that we had rolled back mileage on their vehicle after causing 1,000 or more miles worth of wear and tear. Jack and Harley want their deductible refunded, which Clark refused to do. They demanded Clark's boss's phone number and our corporate complaint number. Clark gave them both numbers, and we hoped that was the end of it. A few months later, at the beginning of this month, our shop started getting voicemails from our favorite couple, Jack and Harley. They said that they were having issues with the repairs done and wanted to bring the Lexus in again to get it looked at. Clark was hoping that they would give us a better review on Yelp and Google, so he invited them in and stated that we would both look over the Lexus. The first thing I noticed was there was nothing wrong with their Lexus from our repairs. All parts aligned great, the paint matched, and was perfect where we had painted. I did notice that all 4 tires were bald. Jack stated that they were feeling very strong vibrations while driving and wanted us to see what was done wrong. So I drove the Lexus into the shop while Clark made a cup of coffee for them. Inside the shop, the Lexus went on the alignment rack. Camber and caster were both out on the front suspension. I checked the mileage and took a photo while it was on the rack. In just 3 months, this couple had put 15,000 miles, 24,000 kilometers on their car. The issues with their car weren't due to us. I sat down with Clark, Harley, and Jack and told them that the alignment and tires were the issue, but weren't related to our repairs. They were livid. Even though I gave them the alignment spec sheets from Lexus and the alignment rack results, they stormed out, threatening to sue the whole body shop network, saying that we were trying to milk them for more money. We thought that was the end of the problems with Harley and Jack, but as of Friday, about 3 weeks after our last contact, Clark and I had to be on a conference call with our Body Shop's network legal team. Harley and Jack filed a lawsuit against the Body Shop network for things I won't specify in the event of an NDA. We spent most of Friday afternoon discussing things with the legal team. To cap everything off, I called the local Lexus service department, the one at which we have a partnership. I had a gut feeling that Harley and Jack had visited the service department before coming back to us and spoke to a service department advisor, let's call her Diana. Diana confirmed that Harley and Jack had brought their Lexus sedan in for 2 oil change services already, and they had visited the service center again in February. The service department had refused to address their alignment and tire issue as the 60,000-mile warranty was voided. Diana also let slip, and now these guys are suing us. And our last story. Divorce me while I'm sick? That's fine. Enjoy being single. Not my story, but a family friend's story. I know this lovely German lady who I'll call Heidi. Not real name. She was married to an Israeli man who I'll call Douche. Douche was a douche for a number of reasons. He worked with my dad in IT, who said he had a hero complex where he would cause disasters at work, then try to be the hero and save the day. We even suspect he caused a huge IT disaster at our national airport while he was working there. He was also really creepy. He creeped out my younger sister, calling her randomly and asking to pick her up. He was the exact opposite of his wife, who was lovely and sweet and charismatic, and I have no idea how they ended up together. Unfortunately, a while after we made friends with him, Heidi got very sick, cancer. She almost died. Thankfully, she was in a country with stellar health care who saved her life. While she was recovering from her surgery, Douche announced he wanted a divorce. His words were, and I quote, "I didn't marry a sick woman." Effing jerk. He left her high and dry and very soon was seeing someone else. He lost all the friends he'd made in our country with his awful behavior. My family told him he was no longer welcome near us as we were there for Heidi. He finally fecked back off to Israel. Apparently, he got into quite a bit of debt while in my country and skipped off to avoid paying. Good riddance, we all said. Heidi found her feet eventually. She took up photography and went to university to study it. She did very well for herself and lived a happy life free from douche. After about a year, douche contacted Heidi and she told us all about it. Apparently, he was trying to sweet talk her into going over to Israel to go through with the divorce proceedings. According to Heidi, your marital status is on your identity card in Israel, and it's one of the first things a girl asks to see when you go on a date. When the girls saw he was married on his card, they'd never go for a second date. So every time he'd call her asking when she was coming over, she'd put a huge crap-eating grin on and reply, "Oh, I don't know. I'm not really in a position to fly with my condition and all. Maybe when I get better." She knew full well he won't set foot here because his creditors were still looking for their money back. She would just relish in the knowledge that he was getting rejected by all those women he was pursuing in Israel while she chilled with us, having a great time. She also told the creditors about where he lives now. They filed a lawsuit in Israel where the debt gets pulled immediately from his bank account. Heidi's doing much better now. She went back to Germany, though still visits my family and her friends from time to time. She's still her awesome self. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.